Welcome to the Life Doula podcast. I'm your Life Doula, Charity. Today's episode is tender and honest. We're talking about what it means to live in between, the quiet struggle between healing and what's next. My guest has been in this space for years, navigating the physical toll of cancer, the weight of uncertainty, and the financial strain that healing often brings. This isn't a story tied up with a bow, it's a lived reality, one that deserves to be heard, honored, and held with care. If you've ever felt like you're surviving but not quite living, this one is for you. Aileen, thank you for agreeing to share your story with our audience. I'm so happy to see you again.
Yeah, excited too.
Aileen, you have been in this journey for a while now. Can you just take us back? What was healing look like for you, not just physically, but in your spirit, in your faith? And how do you see life before all of this happened?
Okay, so it happened in 2023. But before my diagnosis, that was June, we were celebrating a milestone. It was the first time that we're, inviting some close friends kasi we're very intimate. Very simple lang din kami mag-celebrate ng mga events, yung mga birthdays or whatever. But this time, it was our 30th anniversary. My middle child graduated in college. My youngest was doing excellent in his senior high. And then my youngest apo was being dedicated on that day as well. And yung surprise proposal of my eldest. And that was also the time that we were, as a family, parang we felt something was coming. It was parang a time to give back, pay back to God for all the things that He has done over the years. So we wanted to celebrate it with some close friends and family. And then a month after that, my mom had an accident and he did a hip replacement, a surgery. And 2 weeks after, that's when I was diagnosed.
Wow.
But the good thing was, before I was diagnosed, or during my mom's operation, before she was operated on, God showed me a vision of a phrase, live to tell. So, sabi ko, okay, kasi she had a heart ailment and it's a critical operation. Sabi ng doctor will just watch over her. So there was no assurance at all. But that assurance of God before bringing her to the OR of live to tell was enough for me. And she did. So she survived the operation. But yun nga, when 2 weeks after I was diagnosed, I said, if God was able to do that to my mom, you're able to do that to me too. So, ano siya, I was like, let's say we're in the mountains, high in the spirit, in faith. So I was not very much afraid during the time.
Wow.
So it was, I was full of reassurance, and maybe that's why it was easy for me to accept. The acceptance was fast, and the family was so supportive because even the children saw how God was able to save mom from the risk. Kaya ano siya, it was not very difficult.
So I just want to capture, because, it's a good contrast. Like you were saying, we felt like we were, as a family, your spirits were so high amidst the hip replacement of your mom. Your faith was very strong because the whole family saw the hand of God in making sure that your mom, as you said, lives to tell that story of her healing, right? And then the news of your cancer diagnosis happened. Parang it could easily bring the whole family down. But you vision it as a circumstance na parang you were almost prepared
Yes.
by God to be able to accept the news at a point where your faith, I would say, was very strong. Would you?
Yes. Actually, the time that we were celebrating that milestone, there was a project that came in, and it was bigger than what we expected, and miraculously released at a very short span of time. Pero ano kasi, parang we thought, kasi ever since my husband and I got together, that was what, 33 years now, nandun na sa heart namin, we had a vision of doing ministry. But we're not rich, we're not, sabi namin, when the Lord says so, then maybe that's the time. So sabi namin, so we had the house of refuge that we were praying about and we were paying since 2016. So sabi namin, when this project came, sabi, ay, meron tayong pambayad. So we were all looking at that. So we were excited during that milestone na, sige Lord, we're ready with all these blessings. We're ready to pay back and we're going to give time.
So you're postured to accept
Yes.
the blessings that God will shower upon you. However, part of what was showered was a diagnosis
Actually,
of...
yun ang nagpauna siya ng blessing. So when my mom had that accident, sabi namin, ay, hindi pa pala siya para doon. It's for mom. And then after that, nung sa akin, sabi ko, okay, so Lord, what's next? But since nakita namin na kinusya na kami with mom, we were confident na you're going to take care of the rest. Parang ganun.
Wow. And at that time, your diagnosis, what? Stage 2?
It was stage 1, triple positive.
Okay.
Breast cancer on the right.
So stage 1 is also considered an early detection.
Yes,
it's very early detection. Triple positive is not bad, right? It's not as rare as the other types of breast cancer. Now, Aileen, I want to bottom line this at this early in the podcast. What has this journey cost you? And cost you in the financial sense, in the physical sense? And has it ever shaken your faith or has it deepened it?
Yeah. Cost? That's the greatest challenge. Although, yun nga, we've always depended on God for provision. We are not the kind of family or couple who has savings. Maybe because we were not financially educated on that, on investments and all. We actually live by faith daily. Parang ganyan. Since the work of the husband is also by project, ganyan. Kaya nga, it took a while before we jumped into getting a property. And it's not even for us, but for the ministry. But anyway, the cost was so challenging kasi at first, since we did not have savings, and bigay ka ng quotation ng doktor na what? 100,000 to 1 million and more. But saan natin yan kukunin? But on the day that we were given the quotation, we discussed it as a family. And then my sister was abroad at the time, so naka-video call kaming ganyan. And then I was presenting. Kasi it should be a family issue. It's not just the husband and wife or, So with my children, with my mom's living with us, and my sister, when we discussed that, this is the plan. So what are we going to do? Will we go the traditional or herbal, or we'll just do it by faith? And then suddenly there was a message that popped up for GCash. And then, sabi ko, baka ano lang yan, promo or ad or something. And then something came up again. And then I saw many zeros. Sabi ko, hala, sabi ko, ano yun, teka lang. So when I checked, it was a friend who sent money long-time friend na hindi na namin nakakausap. And they were not well off. And then receiving money from somebody na not well off, di mo na masyadong nakakausap. Parang it was really God na telling my family na, hey, eto na yung pauna. I'll take care of the rest. And he did. Progressing to stage 4, mas challenging kasi the medicines are non-PNF.
Yes.
And you have cash out.
Yes.
I learned everything from my mom. I already learned how to get financial assistance and all. And ano ko yun? Chinaga ko yun. But there are still some frustrating moments na, where do I get the money?
Sure.
Ganun. But the Lord's just It's been our deal with God. Sige Lord, we'll go through this. Kasi you gave the go signal. Pero as long as you provide, we'll continue. And so He did. Financially, kay Lord na kami nakapit. And then, well, the other cost that we had is, of course, the time. At first, I was running after time, doing everything I can, thinking na baka bukas wala na ako. I think it's a common thing that cancer patients have in mind.
Yes.
Baka wala na ako next year. So, you do everything you can. But the Lord taught me that in any condition that you're in, I can use you. Kasi I was afraid to be weak. I was afraid to just lie down in bed and ganyan. Pero sabi niya, kahit nasa bed ka, kahit na hindi ka na makagalaw, pwede pa kitang gamitin. Because I was telling God, when I finished chemo, Lord, you allowed me to survive. There must be something. What is it that you want me to do? So in every opportunity that I can, I was jumping at it. At sabi ni Lord, hindi mo kailangang pilit. You don't go ahead of me. So I learned to trust His plan, His timing, divine appointments and opportunities. So in that area, I learned to submit. So the time, and then of course, the physical aspect of weakening, the physical changes. There were times that I was feeling depressed when I was losing weight, dark skin, parang ganun. But I was not very vain, pero it comes to a point.
Yeah.
Especially when you cannot eat, you want to gain weight, but you cannot. Ang hirap. But it was just a season. Thank God that I was able to bounce back. Yun.
You know, you said two things that are really beautiful, like referring to this journey as a season of your life, right? And a lot of times when you're in the problem, like you're the patient and you're still involved heavily in raising funds, as you said, no? You patiently would line up for provisions, letter of guarantees, and all that stuff. You call it a season in your life. And the second thing is that all throughout, you would always say, you know, this is the message I got from God. This is how He wants me to navigate through this. What really struck me was that constant connection. No? A lot of times you will not see His hand when you're deep in pain. You're deep in the trenches of where will I get my next, the fund that will help me with my tests, with my chemo, right? When you're in the trenches of that, a lot of times you do not see the hand of God, but you on the other hand, parang every step of the way, parang like you're connected with Him all the time. That's what I noticed.
It's actually the one that helps us, me and my family, to go through it. Kasi kasabi nga namin some people would say, how can you be so relaxed? Or how can you be so happy even you're going through this? It's not an overnight faith.
Yeah.
It's years of developing this relationship with God na knowing Him personally as your Father, as your, and the way we usually say, oh, He's my Father, He's my refuge, He's my shelter, and all that. But it doesn't really
Translate.
Until you experience it personally.
Yes.
So over the years, we have gone through so many challenges na this time, it's easy for us to say na, Lord, even if we don't see you, we know you're moving behind the scenes. So, nakaka-trust kami in that area. But, tao lang, there will be times.
Yeah, so this brings me to my next question. Do you feel like sometimes you're in a limbo spiritually, right? You're caught between the hope of healing and the fear of what's next. Like you said, parang death can be around the bend. Kita mo na eh, di ba? Especially when you progress to stage 4. So, you still go through this?
Oo. Yun, as I said, tao lang, there will be times, no matter how strong your faith is or your support system, there will be times that you would feel like, Lord, nasan ka na? Lord, can you hear me?
Yeah, yeah.
I know you can see I'm going through, pero hindi kita nararamdaman. May ganong time.
I remember that feeling when God is quiet, right? That's when I panic also eh. Parang, Lord, why can't I hear you? But someone told me, a common friend of ours, that we never had the chance to share that friendship together with her, was Dr. Aggie Sarto. She will always tell me, when God is quiet, trust that He's busy working for you. Right? So that made me so peaceful. Na talagang hinuhugot ko yon when I feel like, Lord, nasa na? I'm a very impatient person. So, Lord, but quiet ka, wala ka naririnig. Aileen, a lot of times, when people hear the word surrender, they equate it to you give up.
Yes.
What does surrender look like for you now? I mean, is it something you've had to learn through faith?
Yes. Kasi actually, all those times living in faith in this journey, akala ko surrendered ako eh. Akala ko,
Meron palang
Lord,
ganito eh, no?
parang, Lord, it's your will be done, di ba? Parang ganun. I claim His promises. I declare all the promises of God, especially, sabi ko, yung by the stripes of Jesus, we are healed. But there were times I would tell my husband, ang hirap nun. May nararamdaman ako eh. Pero it's not so easy to say. Madaling i-claim, but, to really believe it is hard. So those times, you want to just, Lord, bahala ka na. Especially last December, I was going to have my PET scan. And then I said, before that, yung sinasabi na it was not immediately told kasi na I would have a continuous treatment. Ang alam ko, 6 lang. So, nung after the 6, sabi ko, this will be the last? And then my doctor said, it was another doctor now, you can't stop. So, nag-struggle yung spirit ko na, what? This is a maintenance. I cannot accept that. Because God said, I will live an abundant life. So, kung ganun, yung kiniklaim ko, I was thinking it was my giant na yung treatment. So, I'm surrendering to God. Bahala si Lord sa life ko. Whatever He plans for me. But when I cried, I claimed the healing, Lord, I'm surrendering everything to you. A week after, during that week, He corrected my heart. I was not really surrendering. I was giving up. Kasi parang, bahala na, titigil na ako mag-medications. Si Lord na bahala sa akin. Pero it was because I was afraid of tomorrow. It was because of the uncertainty, hanggang kailan ba to? I was not really willing to submit. So the Lord said, you're giving up, you're not surrendering.
They say it's easy to say you trust God when you're not in pain, when you're not in the deep trenches of challenges. But when that comes and you're able to say with your heart and with everything that you have that thy will be done. Can you really? To me, that's the hardest. The hardest prayer is thy will be done. Parang in my mind, parang, talaga ba? Wala akong gagawin. I will trust God's version of tomorrow. Right? So I think all of us struggle with that. Even those that are really faithful struggle with that. Tao lang. No? Aileen, when you needed help, maybe from your community, I know you have different communities, or your church, how did you reconcile needing others with trusting God?
Early on, the Lord already taught me. During my first 6 cycles of chemo, I was searching for people who would help me, guide me, mentor me. And yun yung may makausap ka lang. I was looking for people na, Lord, sino pwede ko makausap? And walang binibigay si Lord. And sabi ko, it's impossible that in this community, there's none. Pero the Lord really parang deprived me of that. But after finishing the 6 chemo cycles, so sa kanya ako lumalapit, nag-grant, nagaganyan sa family. But then I realized, the Lord spoke to my heart na, if I led you to people, maybe you would not come to me anymore. So, ang parang tinuro niya sa akin is, you pursue me first. Come to me
You
first.
seek me first.
Yes. Oo. Kasi parang, yeah, you need people around. But you need me more. Siya lang yung constant ko. Kumbaga, that's what he taught me. I need people, yes. But to trust God, mainly, first and foremost,
So
is
that's
most
like
important.
a deeper relationship already
Yes.
with God, right? How has your faith helped you hold on to hope? Because there are days when even feeling grateful does not come very easy, right? If you cannot be grateful on the bad days, then all the more it's so hard to grapple on with, you know, feeling the hope. How has your faith helped you?
Isa sa mga naging secret ko, which I also tell my friends and my family, my kids most especially, is do not forget what the Lord has done in the past. Parang kasi talagang there will be days na overwhelming, na not just physical, emotional and all. And so there's the spiritual dryness that you feel. Yun lang, babalikan ko lang. And yun, yung mga silent moments ni God, na hindi, parang hindi siya sumasagot, hindi siya ipaparamdam. I just go back to the times that He has brought us through every struggle, all the small miracles that He did. That's what I go back to.
God is always constant. He's the same God today, yesterday, and tomorrow.
Yes.
Right? So, His promises are from everlasting to everlasting. Di ba? Parang, pero minsan kailangan, maaalala mo yon. Otherwise, you will easily fall into, spiraling down in depression, right?
Yeah.
Was there a moment, maybe in the silence of your heart or in prayer, when you feel something shifted for you? Like, I'm sure going from stage 1 to 4, it must have been shocking to you. Ako medyo isang blow lang stage 4 agad. Ikaw, you moved from stage 1 to 4. Can you recall that moment when something shifted? A moment that perhaps gave you meaning or reminded you that you're never going to go through this alone?
That was in Feb, when I was diagnosed stage 4. And during that time, I was hesitant na nga ako magpa-PET scan eh. Not because I was feeling something was wrong, but I was feeling good then. Sabi ko, magpapa-PET scan ako, it's so expensive. And then what if it's found that there's something, papakimo na naman ako. Naka-recover na ako. Ayoko nang balikan. Parang ganon. And then being diagnosed after knowing that stage 4 people can still survive many years, knowing some patients who are surviving. So sabi ko, doon nag-shift because when I was diagnosed or before I was diagnosed, pinakita na ni God sa akin na in any stage you're in, I'm with you. Because like the very specific event was the feast con of Bo Sanchez in Baguio. We were invited because a fellow musician of my husband was one of the speakers. So when we were there, all the speakers touched on cancer. The builder in Baguio found something sa throat niya. But he told his doctor na after the feast con na lang before ako. Sa kanya palang umiiyak na ako. Remember, when I was diagnosed, we were high in faith. Hindi ako nag-grieve, no cry, no anything. Pero nung time na yon in February, when I heard about that sharing, iyak na ako na iyak. Parang it was the first time that I was diagnosed. Nakaka-relate ako sa kanya. Second speaker was the friend of my husband. Yung mommy naman niya was diagnosed and in America. And he prepared his mom to face Jesus. So the mother died. And then the third one was a servant leader of Bo Sanchez, also breast cancer, one of the oldest. She was recently declared no evidence of disease. So at the end of the feast con, parang sinasabi sa akin ni Lord, One is being diagnosed, second passed away, but the third survived. In any of these, I'm with them. So will I be with you. So the God stage was coined. Na, this is my stage. No matter what stage this is, it's God's stage.
I like that. God stage. Eileen, a lot of our audience might probably be asking, because this is a personal experience. When I share my story and I say, God gave me this direction, and one of my friends said, how do you know if it's God talking to you? I'm going off script because it just dawned on me na people might ask, paano nila alam? Kasi a friend of mine said, buti ka pa, ba't ako hindi ko nararamdaman yon, no? How do you explain to our audience what happens when you have this conversation with God?
First and foremost, yung humility kay God na, Lord, I can't do this. I don't know how to handle this. This is you. Parang ganon. It's the submission. It's the relationship that we have with God na hindi lang siya yung God from afar. He's our Father.
Personal.
Yeah, it's the personal relationship that helps you communicate with Him, that even if you don't hear Him audibly, but you feel the leading
And you hear Him in
your heart, and from His Word. We always have our family devotion at night, and of course your personal readings and quiet time. Doon, I do journaling. So sometimes I just do free writing, and then when I look back, parang hindi naman ako yung nag-iisip nito eh. Parang this is God's message to me. So, and you would know it will be confirmed by people, by circumstances. There are a lot of ways that God can speak to us.
True.
It's just that sometimes we don't want to listen.
Yeah. And I think what I want to add to that is you allot a time, your quiet time. That's really for Him. That's your most important appointment for the day. And then you wait.
Yes.
Diba? You allow yourself, you predispose yourself that anytime I can get a message. And if it doesn't come, okay lang. And sometimes it comes when minsan di mo naman ine-expect, you're not actually talking to Him, but you have this whisper in your heart na ito na lang gawin mo, or yan, that's what I'm telling you. So I think for our audience, Eileen, we have every day, you know this, a lot of people get cancer diagnosis, and it's even scary now because the ratio is really getting smaller and smaller, meaning it used to be for breast 1:10, now 1:8, and they're predicting that in 3 years time it's going to be almost 50-50. So 1 in 1 person will get cancer. What would be your message to someone who just received a diagnosis and is wondering, alam mo yon, yung going through a phase na why me? Where is God in all of this? What will be your message to them?
Mahirap yun. Mahirap yun because like each person is different. Yung personality niya, the culture that she was brought up in, yung faith niya, emotional stability niya. So it really depends person to person. But ang nakakalungkot actually, it's like in a month, I would hear 1 or 2
Yes.
na diagnosed from different, hindi in the same community, like from different parts of the world or how they are related to me. And the first thing I just say is that, well, you're not alone. It is hard to comprehend, it's hard to face, but I'll just be here.
Yeah.
Parang that's the only reassurance I can say. I'll be here, I'll help you go through it, and just live it one day at a time. Kasi I used to, like parang fast forward thinking, it didn't help. Parang mas nakaka-stress siya, and it doesn't make you think right.
Yeah.
So take it one day at a time. I'll be here, and as the Lord has been good to me. Kasi yun lang naman yung baon ko. That's the only reassurance and parang nagsastabilize sa akin is God. So, I would want you to have that too.
Yeah. And to answer the question, where is God?
In our case, in my personal experience, where is God in all this? He opened up the ministry for us. So parang after all the challenges, actually it was not just my mom. My mom was in July. I was in August, diagnosed in August. My sister-in-law was diagnosed in September, colon cancer.
Wow.
And then my sister-in-law, the older one, had a knee operation and parang
So that's
series of
good.
medical conditions. But through it all, God opened up the ministry that He wanted us to start. That was yung pala yung sinasabi niyang, okay, you're ready. But not because you're ready because you're equipped, but you're ready because now you know I'm with you. Parang ganun. So now, where is God in all this? In our experience, He started out this ministry. Now we're reaching out to cancer patients. We have established that house of refuge, which it was in our heart 33 years ago, and it's going to be like this center. This is an inspiration for us. Na we'll be welcoming people. Before it was so broad na we don't know who exactly will we cater to. But now, well, the cancer patients, those who are lost and all that, nasimulan niya, kasabay ng medications ko, kasabay ng treatments ko. So, it would be different maybe from
For other people.
other people, but there is a purpose that God will show you bakit dumating to sa inyo.
Kailangan mo lang to be attuned to Him all the time, right? Aileen, I know that there's so many people who've helped you in the journey. But who has been a quiet reflection of God's presence in your life in all of this? Someone who showed you love when you most needed it? Siyempre, yung default yung family, but is there any particular person that parang really gives you the peace and calmness and assurance that God would give you? Who would that be?
Oo, default talaga family, no? Pero I guess really I think the first person that would come to mind will be my husband. Ever since he has been the one that brought me closer to God, always reminds me. He's actually an assistant pastor when I met him. And that was the time I was searching for God, really desiring for a relationship with God. So parang when I was delighting myself in the Lord, then maybe He gave me the desire of my heart. He said, kasi I was really searching for God, and then when I found Him, He just said, I just love you as you are. I don't need anything. I don't need to prove anything, no achievements and all, just your heart. So when I fell in love with God at the time, I was focused on Him. And He said, I will give you a shepherd after my own heart. Of course, that's Jesus Christ, no, with a big S. But eventually, it came to a point that, oh, this is the one. He's God's best for me. And ever since, He's the one helping me to become closer to God.
Ayan, to our audience, you have to pray for your partner.
Delight yourself in the Lord. He will give you the desires of your heart.
Ang dami pa namang dalaga dito sa team
mga
namin.
single
Ayan,
people dyan. Totoo.
Smiling very, very sheepishly.
Yeah.
I would say that's truly a blessing because like I would look at least the pool of my clients and members in Better Days. I would say there's about 30% of women who go through cancer, and then during the course of the journey, the partner leaves or the husband leaves. So, such a blessing to really have your husband hand in hand with you in this journey. Now that, I always say kasi it's easier to say, ooh, I survived cancer after 6 treatments. But the real test is when it goes beyond 6. It becomes a year. In your case, you're going on to your 2 years already, right? Now that you lived in what I call the in-between, kasi you're in between, ano ba, especially in your case, you've gone through partial remission, parang the human side would be, Lord, bakit hindi na full remission? Kailan yung mangyayari? So I call that the in-between. What meaning do you take from this season as you refer it? The waiting, the in-between, the living with uncertainty, which is the hardest. What meaning do you make out of this season in your life?
Maraming nagtatanong, so pang ilan pa? I can't stop. The reality is, I can't stop at this moment. So, tuloy-tuloy siya. And of course, yun nga, talking about it before na kanina, surrendering to God's time. Pero, the meaning of it all now, as I can see, is the ministry that God has put in our hearts for the family. So, parang, I'm not waiting for the time. Syempre, nandun yung gusto mo. In December, I did partial remission. Yesterday, I got my CT scan. Still have to be read by my onco. But looking at it, parang there's still something that's not, hindi pa siya full. Ganyan. But parang ang tinuro lang sa akin, the meaning of this season is, do what you can now. Hindi naman porke tayo may cancer, tayo mauuna. Others might go ahead of us. But what are we doing now? So parang yung inanyo sa akin, don't focus on when you'll get that full remission.
Do what you can.
Do what you can now, because God is giving us opportunities every day that He gives us that we're alive. There's something that He wants us to do with Him. So then, you just submit, and that's what we do. Parang wait on God's direction, live it out, be thankful every day.
You know what I'm learning from you is when you're in this season of in-between, the uncertainty, the no timelines, when it's gonna end, it's still an opportunity to serve God.
Yes.
It's an opportunity to glorify Him by the work that you do, right? You don't wait for a full remission until you start serving Him.
Yes. Mm-hmm. Ano yan sabi? Don't wait for you to be healed before you do something for God. And don't do something for God just because you want to get healed.
God doesn't work that way.
Diba?
Right? So parang, I always say you cannot add to God being God.
Yes.
Whatever you do is really to just glorify Him and there's nothing we can add to His
Yes.
greatness, right? Aileen, I want you to take this opportunity because you are the face of stage 4 cancer who's in the waiting room, who's in the in-between. But as you mentioned earlier, you're going through a lot. This is costing you a lot. And I know that you've always depended on God, but what about those of our audience who are moved and wants to help you? How can they reach you? We're not in the we don't encourage you to give your bank account number or anything. But for those who are inspired and who wants to reach you, how can they reach you, Aileen?
Well, I have my Facebook account. It's still my full name with my middle, Aileen Bacarro-Pascual. You can get in touch with me through that. And then there's also the God Stage Care and Support Ministries that we have put up. Although dinidevelop pa ng mga anak ko, yung mga anak ko mga techies. So that's also one. And
I list both Facebook accounts.
Yeah, Facebook account. And maybe you can just message me there. And yun lang, I also want to encourage them na stage 4 is not as challenging as it was before. There are many stage 4 patients who are living their life, flourishing,
Yes,
enjoying. So there's no reason to be obsessed with the sickness and with the side effects. Take chemotherapy as like a paracetamol. I would encourage na yung kasi others, because it's stage 4, they just don't, yung nag-give up na lang. Stage 4 na, ayoko na. I'm so sad to hear some people na, malala na to, I cannot do treatments anymore. There are so many ways now. So I'd like to encourage you. So many ways, yes. I'm willing to help. As I've gone through it, I'm willing to help.
Yeah, that's very nice. Aileen, thank you so much for inspiring our audience. So don't forget Aileen Bacarro-Pascual on Facebook. She answers right away. I just want to say, if scammers are listening, please don't message her. We just have so much experience the past few weeks. Thank you, Aileen,
Thank
for
you, Miss Cha.
that powerful message. Stage 4 is livable. Um,
God
let's fight
stage.
God's stage. It doesn't matter where you are, God will be there.
Yes. And one more on God stage. It is His platform. It is His territory. We are just like actors behind the scenes. It's all
Workers.
for His glory.
Yes, we're mere workers,
Yes,
right?
yes.
Thank you so much, Aileen. This conversation reminds us that healing isn't always loud or triumphant. Sometimes it's quiet, and it's in the in between. It's in choosing to show up when your body is tired, in whispering a prayer when you're not sure what to ask for, in finding meaning even when the outcome is still unknown. If you're in that space right now, between treatment and tomorrow, know that you're never alone, and there is still life, there is still love, still light in the waiting. Here are 3 things we hope you take away from today. Strength isn't always loud. Sometimes it's soft, it's asking for help, it's letting go of who you thought you had to be. Faith also doesn't mean certainty, it means trusting. Even that trembling hands, that healing can take many forms. And lastly, you're allowed to be a work in progress. As you heard from Aileen, healing has no timeline. There's power in honoring your pace, your pain, and your process. So thank you for being here with us. And if this episode touched something in you, share it with someone who might need a little light in the in-between too. Aileen has offered also help for those who are journeying with this type of disease.